Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Tools Day. My name is Kyle, and for today's video, we've got a special tool, so let's get into it. So you guys have seen, if you've been on the channel for a while, I appreciate that, thank you. But I've used a lot of different tools to cut metal. You've probably seen me use something like this, a grinder to cut metal. I've used this circular saw to cut metal. It's really efficient. And I've used a sawzall. Everybody's used a sawzall to cut metal, cut anything, right? Well, those things are all great. But if you are gonna do a lot of metal cutting, you might wanna look into the tool we're gonna talk about today. And that's a bandsaw. So I've always wanted a bandsaw, and with the, I guess, increase in cordless technology, now we have these cordless bandsaws, and they're pretty epic. So I've been using this one now for probably about 6 months, and I jump at the chance to use this. I definitely think there's a time and a place for a grinder, a circular saw, or a sawzall, but anytime I get a chance, I go ahead and use the bandsaw, and I use it for a couple of reasons. But first, I'll tell you kind of a little bit about this thing. So this is an M18 Milwaukee, obviously, and it's a brushless tool. So, good battery life, good power coming from the battery. And Milwaukee, if you use their new high output batteries, you're gonna get a little bit of a boost with those 21700 cells, which are awesome. So this tool right here, you can buy for under $300 as a tool only package. If you get the batteries with it, it's gonna be obviously more pricey, but you don't have to. You can just buy this as a tool only if you've already got some of the Milwaukee batteries in your platform. Now this is the deep cut bandsaw, which means that it's able to cut through a 5x5 piece of material in one pass. So it's got enough depth to go a full 5 inches, and the throat opening is about 5 inches as well. So that's really handy. Maybe you're doing a lot of posts for fencing, or you're just a metal fabricator, do a lot of pipe work, rebar, things of that nature, man. This thing is just super perfect for that application. And one good thing I like about Milwaukee is a lot of their tools, their higher end tools, they're made quite well. This is an all metal direct drive, so there's no chain, there's no plastic parts, is what they claim. I've never taken one apart. If you have and I'm wrong, go ahead and let me know down below. I'd appreciate it. But it's made to be, abused on the job site, and it's gonna last. I've had no issues, and obviously I don't use mine every day as much as I'd like to, but I've definitely used it long enough to know that it's a quality built tool. Another feature about it, we've got our hook here. That's always nice to have a hook on any tool. It doesn't matter if you're in a rafter or not. It's just nice to hang your tool on things. It's got a built-in LED. When you fire it up, an LED is gonna turn on, which, it's just another little added benefit, not super necessary in order to make a clean cut, but it's nice to see what you're cutting sometimes. Another nice feature is it has a blade change tool-free feature, so you can just flip this lever, and that's going to loosen up these two flywheels, bring them a little bit closer together so that you can very easily pull this off. I'll show you how that works in just a little bit. We'll change the blade out before we go to use it. At 13 pounds, it doesn't really feel that heavy, and with the absence of a cord, it's just very, I guess, free feeling, so you can just get about anywhere on the job site with it without having to worry about bringing that cord. And they're claiming tons of runtime. I couldn't find a stat that said how many cuts per minute or how much you're gonna get out of one battery. So that's something that I maybe would have to do a test on my own. But this blade, they do have an adjustable speed, so you can tone it down, but it is a variable speed trigger as well. And it'll do 0 to, I think it was 380 feet per minute. And I guess what that means is this blade is going to travel 380 feet in a minute, which basically equates to 101 revolutions. So this blade is revolving around at 100 times per minute on full speed. One of the benefits of a bandsaw, I think, versus some of these other things, well, I guess more importantly, like the sawzall. Like, I would use a sawzall a lot. That back and forth motion, it's not as clean as a bandsaw because it's a constant pull through the material. It's very clean and smooth. One other thing about this, another feature that they have is this adjustable shoe. And I don't know that I would really ever move this around too much, but you can push it up and down. Milwaukee claims that this is so you have less turning or moving when you're cutting through larger than 5-inch material, but that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know, maybe I just haven't experienced it yet, but it is nice to have this down so that when you are cutting, you can set your material up against it, and as the blade is pulling, it just rests right up against your material, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. That's really it. I mean, this is a super simple tool, and I think it's simple because it's made to do one thing and one thing really only. It's made to cut through specifically metal, but you can use it on wood. I have used it on wood, but it's one of those tools that you don't go run out buying when you don't maybe need it all the time. If you just want it, you know, obviously it's a fun tool. It's one of those things you're probably gonna use more after you get it than you thought you would. However, it's very specialized. So, you know, not everybody needs one of these in their toolbox. With that being said, what I thought we could do is, I've got this I-beam here, I've got some rebar, I've got some flat stock metal, and we could just, you know, kind of go through and show you how smooth this is and how it compares to some of these other tools specifically in a little bit of demo testing. So now for the sake of this test here, first off, the Makita circular saw, this metal saw, it's made to cut metal. You can clearly see it's got this nice chip collection tool. Anyway, I've done a video on this, so go check that out. I think it'll be over here, but we're gonna go ahead and get this out of the test because my blade is shot. I need a new blade, and I don't think it's really applicable to compare it to the use of this anyway. With that being said, you know, this grinder, everybody has probably used a grinder once or twice or more than that to cut through metal, and it's great if you're cutting through some thin stuff or you got to grind off some metal, but they're not that safe. They're pretty darn messy, and I don't think they're that quick. Yeah, it's nice to just be able to pop a new blade on real quickly, and they're fairly cheap, so you can burn through them pretty quick, and it's not a big deal. This is the Bosch X-Lock. Maybe I'll do a video on this thing in the future. It is pretty sweet. Toolless blade change, but we're gonna go ahead and get rid of this also for this test. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because I think all of these tools are great for certain things, but when we're talking about the bandsaw, we're not talking about cutting even really one piece of rebar. I mean, you could do that, but there's a lot of tools that will do it just as quick, fairly inexpensively, and pretty efficiently. So I think this thing shines when you're dealing with larger material, maybe a bundle of rebar, or something like this I-beam. Maybe you gotta fab the metal on site for your project or whatever, and you don't have a torch or something. So I think this is gonna be a lot cheaper than buying something like that. And I think it's gonna do a great job. So here's what we're gonna do. First off, I told you I would show you how we change the blade, just because I think it's pretty cool. We've got this lever here. We're gonna go ahead and release it. And what that's done, maybe I can show that again. We're gonna take the battery out just because it's safe. When I pull this lever, see how this guy moves in and out? The blade becomes free, kind of like a chain on a bike. You're just gonna release it, the pressure, and then you're able to, let me get this down. You're able to take it out. So this is all we've got here. It's 44 7/8 circumference, and very simple. I've got a brand new one here that I'm gonna throw on for the test, and it's as easy as putting it back into your two guide wheels, one on each side. You know what? I should probably also go ahead and throw some nice cut level gloves on, just so I don't think I'm gonna get cut, but it's always good to practice safety third. And once you've got it around both of your flywheels, you're gonna go ahead and just take that lever, tighten it back up, and when I put my battery back in and I turn it on, it's gonna basically self-align itself. So that's really nice. It's nice and easy, pretty darn quick and painless. So that's what we're gonna do with the bandsaw. On the Sawzall, I've got my Super Sawzall, which has got the orbital action. I don't even know if I've ever done a video on this guy. I mean, it's like the beast, the workhorse of any construction site. And what I've got here is, you guys already know I'm a fan of the Diablo blades. We've got this is the thick metal Steel Demon Carbide teeth blades. So Diablo, I want to say thank you because they do support my channel. And that's great because I love partnering with people that I truly stand behind. I've been buying Diablo since I got into the trades. That's what my dad told me to do. First thing was buy yourself a Diablo blade for every tool, every saw that you have, because they just last and they're great quality blades. But enough about that. What we're gonna do is go ahead and make a cut with this guy, and then we'll come through and make a cut with this. And I think because we have technology, we should be able to maybe post-edit, put these side by side so you get a good feel for how long it actually takes in comparison. Safety first, some hearing protection. If you're looking for one of those Christmas gifts, because I'm assuming that this is gonna air right either after Christmas or right around Christmas, and you maybe didn't get what you wanted, these ISO tunes, they're very nice hearing protection. They're OSHA certified and they're comfortable. You can take phone calls, listen to music, Bluetooth enabled. I can't say enough. Me and the guys have been wearing them now for about a month, and they're really good at noise canceling. But enough of that, let's go ahead and do some tests. All right, so here we go. We got the Diablo Sawzall blade first, and I'm just gonna go ahead and go at it. We'll see how it does. I've actually not done this test, so remember, this isn't necessarily, I'm not trying to say that the bandsaw is better than the Sawzall in general. I'm saying that it's application based. We'll take a look at the cut, quality, the speed, and kind of the overall experience with each tool. All right, now, that is still in itself extremely impressive, and it's really a great cut. Now I got my gloves on. It doesn't feel like it's too hot. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's actually amazing. There's no heat. There's like no heat at all on that, just some red paint from the Sawzall blade. So that's impressive in its own right. And I've never really used these blades too much. I'm more of a wood guy, so I don't use a lot of metal blades, probably like a Demo Demon wood metal combo, but that was pretty impressive. Now let's go ahead, use the bandsaw, and let's see how that does in comparison. Okay, it got a little wonky at the end, and it's probably, I don't know, that's probably about a quarter of the time. Very clean. Once again, no heat at all to the touch. So that's nice because whenever you're dealing with metal and you're making cuts or anything, I've burnt myself many times doing that sort of thing, and with the wrong blade, it will heat up. Those are both extremely impressive ways to cut metal, but I think it's pretty obvious. I wasn't being very careful with my cut, so you can see I'm a long ways away from being perfect on the bandsaw. I will, however, throw up a video here over top of my voice showing you guys where I think the bandsaw is really good. I did a project, and maybe you guys watched the video where we were doing the deck at Greg's place, which is my house, but we were doing a project with LP, and we replaced the deck with some aluminum railing, and I used this saw to cut the tops of the rails off when they were just a little bit too long. And there I had a line marked. I knew what I wanted to cut. I took my time and did it right. And not only did it do it like super cleanly, but like a perfect cut, which is really hard to do with the Sawzall. So I think the point is both of these saws are great. You know, using the right blade on the Sawzall is great. It's probably a little bit longer. It's going to take you a little longer. It's probably a little bit messier, the shavings wise, because it's more or less doing all that back and forth tearing. But they both worked really well, and I'm quite surprised, specifically on the Diablo blade, because I already knew that the bandsaw was going to perform really well. This is what it's made for. I'm going to do one more cut with the bandsaw. I want to see if I can get a little bit more clean. Yeah, I want to see how that goes, if I can make it a little bit more of a clean cut here. One thing about this bandsaw that I noticed is when I first used it, the way it sits, you want to go like this, but the blade is just offset from what it feels like it's gonna be. So it's a little bit, you know, hard to get used to, but I don't say it's hard. It just takes a little bit of time to get used to. Let's do this again. The really nice thing is you can see how smooth it is because it has that shoe that it's resting against. You can just let it sit here and the tool will do all of the work, or you can really push down on it. But that's when it gets off. Look at that, you see that? I'm gonna finish this, I'll show you. Everything was going really nice until I wanted to show you how much you could push it, and it just went right out the side. So, you know, my guess is that's probably a lot of my fault, guys. I apologize. I just tried showing you a demo and I totally ruined it, but I think you get the point. Well, there you go, guys. I think a couple things were very evident. First off, I want to say that you can just use your Sawzall, and Diablo's got the right blade to do any of your cutting solutions. So I just cut this thick metal beam. Yeah, it took me 4 times as long as if I had this tool, right? But that's okay, because if you're only cutting 1 or 2 beams once in a while, you don't have to go spend $300. However, you've seen how rough this was, how much energy was being transferred into my body, how much everything was shaking and moving versus the bandsaw, which, yeah, you're not gonna need this all the time unless you do metal work, but it's so smooth, it's super fun, and it just is a really good tool. So I think the lesson is there's so many great options out there. There's more than one way to skin a cat. But I'm at the point now in my career, I've been a business owner for 13 years. I've got most of the core tools. I like to go out and buy that niche tool that's gonna really just make me that much better in that little bit of time that I need it. And that is what I basically do with the bandsaw. I don't use it every day. I'm not a professional metal fabricator, but when I gotta cut some aluminum, some metal, even wood, and it's the right application, this saw is awesome to have. So if you're interested, I'll drop a link below. It is an Amazon affiliate link, so you're supporting me by going through that route. But honestly, guys, don't worry about it if you don't do that. I don't really care that much. I just want to drop some information to you guys so you can make good informed decisions. If you just cut metal once in a while, go check out Diablo blades, and I'll also put a link below for that. Big thank you guys for watching another video. I know it's been a little bit since I've done Tools Day, and I think we're gonna try to shake some stuff up for 2020. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, thank you, I appreciate it. Make sure that bell is turned on so you get a notification every time RRBuildings drops a new video. But with that being said, I wish you guys a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, a great holiday season to you and your family, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. I was actually feeling really disappointed about myself, so I just wanted to make a nice clean cut with the bandsaw, straight up and down, just more or less to show you guys that I'm not a failure.